Getting it already on Twitter from everybody else. I must say as well, before we go to the calls, Newcastle were phenomenal. Spurs weren't just bad, but Newcastle bouncing back after that defeat of Villa. They came back in such a way from the off. They just took it straight to us. And as poor as we were, they were phenomenal. And the job that Eddie Howe's done, again, that's a club on the up and in complete sort of juxtaposition to what's happening at Spurs at the moment.
Absolutely. For me, if you're Arsenal, if you're Manchester City, if you're Liverpool, obviously in the previous seasons and they're coming back strong, if you're Spurs as well, I'm going to add Spurs and that Chelsea, you're looking at Newcastle now. And I think you're concerned. You're concerned for the next couple of seasons because they've got the buying power now. They've got the support, the fan base. They've got the manager. They're on the up.
Let's head over to the phone lines. 03717 223344. Let's head over to Jack, who's a Spurs fan. Good evening, Jack.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jack.
Yeah, we can hear you. It's obviously not a good evening for us, a lot of Spurs fans, is it, Jack?
It's not a good evening at all. I was just saying to the producer of the show before I called in that I'm a season ticket holder.
Same.
I went to the Bournemouth game and we were appalling there.
Yep.
We literally threw that game away. And I thought that going up to Newcastle, we would be able to go up there and salvage something. I think there are 2 points here. We have a team with 2 World Cup winners in Lloris and Romero. We have the rest of the team that are international players. We have just made ourselves an absolute shocking disgrace. And do you know what I feel more upset about? The fans that went up
Absolutely.
there, paid their hard-earned money, and they've watched their team just embarrass them, the club and the shirt. And those players should give the fans that have travelled up there their money back by way of apologising. One more point, and I'm getting really upset because it does annoy me, that unfortunately the manager, what he said, is now coming home to roost. He should have just said it behind closed doors. The fact that he said it in public, he had to be sacked. I agree with that. But the problem is that what he has said is actually now becoming quite true and an embarrassment. And one last thing, to leave his team there, for Daniel Levy to leave his team there to carry on running the club, how did he think that was going to work? How did he think that we were going to turn around and start winning games? The only way that we could have won games was to clear everybody out and show them that we are better than what he was telling us that we were. One last point before I actually explode. I will not be going to the Manchester United game on Thursday. It's going to upset me more not to go, but I have to make a stand because the more I keep turning up, the more I keep getting upset. So if I don't go, I would actually just be making a point on my own. And we will finish 7th, 8th or 9th.
I agree with that, Jack. Jack, when you say about he made those comments in public and you think he should be sacked for that, do you think Conte is just sort of breaking that cycle of, Pochettino dropped the hint bombs that there was a problem at the club and it's like inherently above him. Jose Mourinho made those points as well, a bit more subtly. Conte coming out and exposing that group of players, saying these players are protected, they've always got to use the word alibi, saying that it's always someone else's fault. These players need to be held responsible. And I think Conte, as much as it might be seen as the wrong thing to do, as Spurs fans, at least we can look around and go, you know what? This all stops with one man, and that's the man at the top, Daniel Levy, because he's talking about giving Eric Dyer 3 years extension. How do you reward mediocrity like that, Jack?
Let me just, I'm going to repeat what you said, but all the managers have been in and gone, and we've had very limited success. Okay, Champions League final, but one person or 2 people remain at the top of the club, right? I don't have to tell you who they are. So please, everybody who has got an ounce of common sense, look at the managers that have come and gone. You don't have to agree with all of them. You're telling me they're all bad, or are you telling me that some of them were good, some of them were bad, but the people at the top remain the same? The core of Tottenham is rotten. The fans turn up every week hoping and praying for a change, and it doesn't change. The only way it will change is if Mr. Levy looks at himself and does the right thing and sells the club to someone who really cares, because he doesn't care. I'm sorry, he may say he does, but he doesn't. Sorry.
Thanks, Jack. Before your head explodes, I understand how you're feeling tonight.